Hello to everyone. My name is Alberto and I'm here to make a summary of Unit 3. We are going to see the different formats of listening, reading versus listening, the approach of comprehension, the decoding message, and more things. So, let's go.
Summary of Unit 3. Index. Different formats of listening. The comprehension approach. Reading versus listening. Types of listening and responses. Interaction, integrating speaking and listening. Decoding messages. Decoding and meaning building. And finally, the interactive compensatory hypothesis. Different formats of listening. We have two different formats, the early and the current. The early format is divided in three stages. The first one is the stage of pre-listening. We pre-teach vocabulary to ensure maximum understanding. In the stage of listening, we have the extensive listening followed by general questions of context, and the intensive listening followed by detailed comprehension questions. In the last stage, the post-listening, we teach any new vocabulary, we analyze language, and we make a post-play. Students listen and repeat. The current format is totally different. In the stage of pre-listening, we establish context. We create motivation for listening, and we pre-teach only critical vocabulary. In the stage of listening, in the extensive listening, we have the general questions on context and attitude of the speakers. And the intensive listening, we have the preset questions, the intensive reading, checking answered questions. The last stage, post-listening, is optional, but I think that it should be a must for everyone. We have the functional language of listening passage. Learners infer the meaning of unknown words for the sentences in which they appear. And we make a final play. Learners look and transcript. The comprehension approach. Reading versus listening. There are four differences between those skills. The first one is the material. The reader has to decode a standardized spelling system, whereas the listener has to deal with sounds which may vary from one country to another, from one accent to another, and even from one speaker to another. A written text is permanent, whereas listening is transitory. The reader has blank spaces between words which help him distinguish when one word ends and when another one begins, but there are not such spaces in a speech. The pattern of language involved in both processes are completely different. And the different level of comprehension. Readers can look back, listeners have to carry the information forward in their memory. After all, we see that the skill of listening is quite harder than the reading. The characteristic of listening. Listening should be done with these four characteristics. Listening should contain around 8 comprehension items. The recording should be interesting, include enough meaningful information. Only one speaker or two speakers of different sex. And the listener's role is passive. Types of listening. We have 7 types of listening. So, the first one, face-to-face. A simple conversation. We receive and we produce information. There is a negotiation of meaning, but it's just a conversation. Distant, but two-way. Phone conversation. We cannot rely upon body gestures because we can't see them. External to listener. Listening events such as announcements, instructions, or answer phone message. The role of the listener is passive, decodes the message and acts accordingly. Listening for pleasure. Drama, songs, film, jokes, anecdotes. Informative. The headlines, interviews, discussions. Instructional. Lectures, lessons. And the last one, persuasive. TV or radio ads. If we think about how the listener reacts to all these situations, we see that the processing demands that these listening events are very different. We have a lot of situations in the world, for example, in an airport, in the supermarket, in the street, talking by phone. There are a lot, and we have a response to different situations. Every situation has a different response. There are a lot, so if someone is interested in that, you can look for it into internet because there are a lot, and this is just a simple summary. Let's go now with the interaction. As Chastain said in 1988, speaking is using background and linguistic knowledge to create an oral message that will be meaningful for the intended audience. We should make students feel interested in speaking, but how we should do that? We can choose an appropriate topic, we can challenge activities, we can make a suitable classroom arrangement, but we cannot forget that making speaking easier has more to do with the effective valors of the learning process than with the cognitive one. Pronunciation and speaking are closely related. We have here 5 different exercises of listening. The first one, the modeling. Even dialogue exercises for non-participatory listening can be a good source of example of conversation structure that can be analyzed and used in speaking exercises. Post-practice. The teacher plays a listening dialogue and pauses after each turn of the first speaker and asks students to anticipate the response. Quick-fire questions is similar to the post-practice, but the recording consists of a series of questions as an interview. The jigsaw listening. It's a very interesting work. Students listen to different parts of conversation and have to organize them. And the last one, recording. We record the learner's performance and play short sections for them. We can analyze moments where they use an incorrect pronunciation, intonation, etc. Let's go now with the decoding message. How to decode a message. How many levels? We have 6 different levels. The first one is the phoneme level. As you can see, you can only read that. So, where is the transition? The second level is the syllable level. We divide the phonemes into syllables. So, where is the train station? The third level is the word form level, where we traduce the phonemes into words. So, where is the train station? The syntax level. We have an auxiliary, where, a verb, is, and the subject, the train station. The fifth level is the intonation. In this case, we have a question, so we can't make the same intonation, like, where is the train station? No, the intonation should be like, where is the train station? It's different. And the last one, the meaning level, where the other person answer to our question. So it's close to the supermarket, for example. We have two major operations which make up the listening skills and that we need to understand and distinguish: decoding and meaning building. Decoding is translating the speech signal into speech sounds, words, clauses, and meaning. But meaning building is that the listener expands on the meaning of what the speaker says, words and sentence level, and adds incoming pieces of information to the conversation. We have three types of information which are used for decoding and meaning building: the input, the linguistic knowledge, and the context. Inputs are the sound the listener receives in the words, syllables, clauses that those sounds represent. The linguistic knowledge are the knowledge of words, grammar, syntax, intonation. And the context, the general knowledge and personal experience and the knowledge of what has been said so far in the conversation. We have two directions of processing: the direction of bottom-up and the direction of top-down. Bottom-up refers to the phonemes into words and words into phrases. So, making clearly, bottom-up refers to building small units into larger units. And the direction of top-down, use of context, external knowledge, and context, text so far to help identify words that are not clear. So, saying more clearly for you. Top-down refers to the influence of larger units when we try to identify source one. So, to finish my presentation, I'm going to talk about the interactive compensatory hypothesis. This hypothesis talks that the confidence in input is high, the top-down information is small. But in the other way, if the confidence in input is low, the top-down information makes a big contribution. And this is all. I hope that you have enjoyed. I hope too that you have learned something, and maybe that you can study for the exam for this presentation. So thanks for watching and thanks for your attention. Bye bye.